So hello. Sorry for the weird kickoff meeting and welcome meeting, but I think everything is weird this year anyway. So that's the we organized a bit. I would say last minute something like kickoff meeting or early meeting for the QMat welcome. So that's for us the opportunity to welcome you, to say welcome to Strasbourg, welcome to this adventure. And we'll just spend 1 hour showing you what you should expect, what will happen to you as a member of this community and teaching program. Okay? So my name is Doudin. I'm one of the coordinators of this program. We are in fact on three. And I put the picture somewhere. So I'm here today. Paul-Antoine Hervieux is hiding there. And the third one is Shannon Whitlock, who is staying at home, being worried that it would be too dangerous for you here today. Okay? So these are the three people managing the program. The most important person is the lady who is sitting on the top here. So maybe you know her indirectly through email. Okay, you should know her through email. She's the one who emails you all the time, and she's the contact person. So her name is Alona Grant, right? I pronounced it mostly properly. And she is somehow managing the whole thing and helping everybody. So I'll try to be short. I will do something like a 10-minute intro, which are mostly the technicalities, a bit information on the technicalities. Then Paul-Antoine will talk about what is a QMat student, mostly. And then we ask some current QMat students to take the mic and talk with you a bit to explain what they do. Okay. So maybe I'll start just with a small history, just to give you a frame of where this initiative comes from and what is the time frame and the goal globally, especially in terms of funded projects. So you see the title is a mix of French and English, because the name acronym EUR comes from French, okay? And the title is École Universitaire de Recherche, which is mostly Graduate School à la Française, how they translate that in the project. And the title, this specific EUR, is Quantum Science and Nanomaterials. So that's one of the initiatives in France. The story started 3 years ago, in fact. Okay, there was a call, and that was an announcement of the government. Okay, and they provided €500 million to fund this initiative. So in 2017, we wrote a project which was accepted during that year, and as I told you, EUR, there are technically 29 in France, in all areas of science. And I would say in physics, it depends because it's interdisciplinary, so it's a bit, but I would say centered in physics, there are only 2. One in Strasbourg, one in Toulouse. There were, because in fact, there was a second call 1 year ago where a number of other EUR were created, and there are 2 others in physics. But I would say 29 looks like a large number, but if you now pinpoint it, half of these went to life sciences, for example. So if you start to cut by discipline, in physics there were not so many. And it was, the money was granted in 2017, and after doing all the paperwork, it officially started early 2018. And the first students arrived in the fall 2018. So that's why you have the kickoff, which was September 2 years ago. Now those arriving now are the third year starting this program. The third series of students starting the program. So it is funded for normally 10 years, and that's what I wrote here. So you see, we're already 3/10. It looks like a very long time, but we're already 3/10. And it is normally you're starting, if you start at N1, you're starting a 5-year program. So those starting today, when they will end, that will be 8 years over 10. So it will be the end of this long-term program. But for the French system and funding system, 10 years is, you have nothing longer than 10 years. I'd say it's a maximum amount of time that's considered a very long-term investment. We'll see. It depends on the perspective. But it goes fast, faster than you think. So I will go very fast in terms of giving you an idea who is involved. Okay, and this graduate school is mostly it has a research head and a teaching head. Okay, in fact the research head was already there before 2017. It was there since 2012. So that's 8 years ago. And we based mostly the developments in research performed in the last 8 years, or 5 years, 6 years when it was written, to position this topic and UR. And here it's mostly a listing of who is involved. Okay, so very likely those, for example, doing a PhD are in one of these 4 institutes that is written down there. And that's mostly the research institutes involved in Strasbourg, okay? And these are institutes you'll visit during your master program and you get involved in terms of starting research there and hopefully doing a PhD there. And the strange abbreviations down there are what I talked about starting in 2012 or 2013, which was which I think I described more in the next slide. You know, these are so-called EX initiatives because everybody's excellent. Okay, and the LabX was something like a similar call, but in the year 2012. Okay, and it started in 2012, and it is only research. There is no teaching, or very little teaching. There is a bit of support for bringing students and helping students, but it's something like 5%. And the 2 others, so I say if you read the title, it is not, it is different, right? That was something like the main research topic that we identified in 2012 to write a research project to the community of very good researchers that can be competitive, if you want, in terms of originality, quality, and excellence. If you don't find this in science, to be granted. All right. So mostly these are 40 people, and the title was subject. All right. So this was mostly light matter interactions and magnetism. That was a combination of optics and magnetism at the nanoscale. On the top of that, what is called Epitex for equipment. These were 2 big initiatives for building state-of-the-art, groundbreaking, fantastic new types of experimental tools, right? And there were 2 granted. All these correspond to a lot of money given to a few elected people, right? So it was not easy to get this funding and this support. And mostly there are 2 tools. One is mostly optics and nanofabrication. That's the first one. Okay, the science is mostly optics, and the tools are on nanofabrication or superfast optics courses. And the second one is well, there is space missing. It's an electron microscopy setup, which is quite unique because it combines fast optics and electron microscopy. Just to give you an idea, in Strasbourg, there are only 3 equipments, 3 equipment that were granted historically that are built in Strasbourg. There are also shared equipment, but those are really pieces of equipment that exist in Strasbourg. So this is 2/3 for the whole university, right? And these are 3/12 types of initiatives granted in the University of Strasbourg. So that's 25% of the excellence program of the University of Strasbourg. Okay. How good we are. Okay. And that's why this program has, let's say, a strong track record of excellence in research. They were really based on things that were identified as specialties in Strasbourg. And if you think about that, is really physics 25% of the research happening in Strasbourg? No. Okay, so that's really I would say a good I wouldn't call it coincidence, but a good alignment of planets that allows us to bring in this program. Okay. The next one is just to summarize the background of teaching. So the EUR. Now you have all the research of these fantastic tools and these super clever people behind you, welcoming you, and historically what we ask is for money to help the best students to come, to attract the best students and to get an ambitious teaching program on, I'd say, in phase with an ambitious research program. And that's you have these institutes that I mentioned before, and the teaching is mostly physics and engineering, and likely most of this comes from the physics and engineering curriculum. Okay, and there is a bit of the chemistry school in Strasbourg, and a bit of faculty of chemistry in Strasbourg. The idea is that we have a good program in physics, but we rely on a number of interdisciplinary things that exist in Strasbourg. So there is a strong connection in the program. Ideally, there are also students from the ECPM who join this program, or masterminds that are in common with ECPM students. And there are some courses that you can take in chemistry because there is a lot of physical chemistry. And the PhD schools, I would say 80% of the people come from the physics and chemical physics doctorate school, and some are coming from the chemistry doctorate. So that provides you what we call the perimeter, and gives you the science with the research institutes and the topics, and the teaching, so-called perimeters, that will be impacted by this synergy with research. Right? Next one. And this is, well, I doesn't say what we brought in the proposal, but just to give you an idea of the design of the program. Again, what you should think, especially if you enter at the M1 level, is that you enter a 5-year program. Not a 2-year program for a master, but a 5-year program where you want to do a master and then continue with the PhD. Okay? That's mostly the Anglo-Saxon model. When I was in the US, we were admitting people at the master level and as soon as possible putting them in the lab to really start the PhD. And here, and in Europe it's different because you really have a master and then you can enter to decide to do a PhD. So that was the idea behind it, was a bit to copy the Anglo-Saxon model, thinking that this is the best model for research. But the spirit is really to go for 5 years. And you are mostly, starting here and with growing in time and knowledge up to the end of the year. So, that's what I told you. You are mostly from physics, the shared Master 1 courses in physics, which is broad range, I would say. And you have some input from chemistry, you have some input from the engineering school for the M2 level. And likely this has been already said to you, for M2, you have a shared program in M1, and then you have several choices in M2. So these are mostly all the choices in M2, and then mostly the main doctorate school that I mentioned, which is the one in physics, plus some others, because there is no reason to do terms of introductory school and how it's designed in Strasbourg. It's mostly a bit not really divided into physics, chemistry, biology, whatever. So that's also for the local system. So this looks like a complicated story, but it's really the teaching program you have and you have chosen, right? So if you start the master program, the first year will be general physics, and that will be the year where you have time to decide what you will do in the second year. And my last information, so I showed pictures without math, so maybe one day you recognize the pictures without math, and you have known the pictures without math. And I also summarized, because this presentation will be available, all the email addresses. And these are the people in charge, okay? So the fantastic picture here is Lina, without the mask, and Paul-Antoine Hervieux is on the right. And these two persons in the middle, maybe you met them for teaching purposes. The man is Stéphane Berthaud, and the lady is Isabelle Rick. And mostly, if you have any issues, as let's say, there are those following up the students, okay? If you have any questions during your curriculum and practical issues, mostly you send an email to them, it arrives to these 4 people, and they are organized to take care of the answer. If you send an email to QMat with nothing special, that's the coordination team, okay? So, as I told you, Alina is still there, and that's myself, and Shannon Gustav in the middle, and Paul-Antoine Hervieux. And initially, you applied for QMat, so mostly you either hidden or in reality afterwards there was some discussion. Or when you got answers in terms of selection, you got emails to this address. So I just put it at the bottom because you've been admitted. Congratulations, you're there. This is over. So these are mostly the two email addresses that you might need. And you start to know the people. So sometimes, especially myself, I'm not very good at reading these email addresses. You can always send an email personally. But at least if you send an email personally to somebody, put it in copy to this, so we have all the information for us. And the final one, I think it's there because I was supposed to do that. That's just a detail, but keep this in your head. Okay. So mostly it is important if hopefully during your 5 years or during your PhD you will publish. If you publish, just ensure that somewhere you thank the QMat funding source. This is very boring. It might be very boring, but it will be later for the interest. So I pass the information to all the people, the supervisors for the PhD, whatever. But 2 precautions are better than 1. Okay. I also pass the information to you. At some point, don't forget that there is a very long and quite boring sentence to add at the end of the paper. This is a technicality that you should put. Anyway, so now that I'm done all the boring stuff, we'll start with the interesting stuff. Are there questions? No? Okay. Thank you. Next one.
Thank you. Okay, I will try to convince you that you are part of the community, as Bernard said already, and you are the actors of this community. And this is very important for the spirit of QMat, of this AUR. The QMat strategy in terms of spirit, if I can say this, is to first to challenge students, okay, with an enhanced curriculum, providing a solid and broad background in fundamental and applied physics. I insist on fundamental and applied. And this is the one facet of this multi or pluri or interdisciplinary character of this QMat community. Another aspect which is very important is learn by doing. It means that you are the main actor, and you can learn by doing experiments, by doing calculation, by doing research, and this is very important. Okay, and this is also related to this sentence, which is very important, is to involve students in their own training through student-led initiative. It means that the spirit of QMat is that you must have initiatives by yourself. You have to create, you have to propose something you dream of, or something you want to do in research or in training. And this is very important for QMat to have this spirit. And of course, QMat is, you are a member of QMat now, and QMat will help you to do it. This is the spirit. Some other sentences which are important. You shape the future in quantum science and nanotechnology. It means that it's a thematic school. It means that the main field is quantum science and nanotechnology. You can learn, as Bernard said, you are in an excellent environment in terms of research in this domain, and you have to use it in order to create your own way in research and this environment of research, these world leading experts, is in the domain of fundamental and applied science. It's important. Quantum physics, subatomic physics, nanomaterials fabrication, experimental and computational nanoscience, and device engineering. Engineering is also important because it's another part of this pluri or multi or interdisciplinary character of QMat, is that you have fundamental and applied, but also this connection with the engineering world, and this is important. And the last is to profit from international. I will insist also on that in the next slide. And industrial internship, as well as enhanced networking opportunities. It means that you have the possibility by yourself to find internship in the world of, in the context of international, and also in the context of industrial world. Okay. I will not ask my assistant. Okay, and now just to give you how QMat can help you. It's in the title, what changes when you are a QMat student. First of all, and Bernard said this, you are enrolled for 5 years, okay, from N1 to the end of your PhD. You are a member of a community, I insist on that, and you will have this presentation by the YIG, the Young Investigator Group, will be the next talk. You get access to a number of curriculum extra time in the labs, which is important to link this teaching activity with research as much as possible. You have more courses, sorry to say this, but you have more courses to follow. You have financial support for foreign space. This is also very important. If you want to go abroad to study or to make research in a lab, you can. Of course, you have to write a proposal for this, and it will be examined, of course, by the coordinators. But you can have a financial support to travel and to make research. You can get financial support for events organization. You can think about to organize by yourself or in a small group a scientific meeting, for instance. I will show you some examples in the next slide. You have, and this is also very important, you have an individual supervision by a mentor. Okay, I will explain the role of this mentor in the next slides. And you have also the big events, and you will have more information during the last presentation. Just to note, very important, you have a 1-year enrollment, but you do need to apply again for the other year. Okay? Please, next. Okay, some the different tools for QMat. You have a QMat web page. I'm sure that you know already, with many information. You have different researcher profiles. You see that it's a very active web page. And we have also social media, okay, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on. You have a newsletter, and you can participate to write this newsletter. This is very important. You must be involved in this. You have a mailing list. And remember that you should all be part of the QMat community. It means that all these tools, you are the actors to feed these tools for the whole community. Please, next. Okay. And now a few, just to see how QMat community is active. You have different events in the domain of outreach in 2019 and 2020. I will not describe all of them, but maybe I will insist on this tournament of the French physicist, okay, which is quite interesting and amazing. You can be embarked in this adventure if you wish. There will be, and you will have all the details by the big coordinators in the last presentation. You have goodies, newspaper advertising, in Physics World, for instance, and many other things. You have also QMat supporter events. The last ones, for instance, I will insist on the 3 last ones, which are the QMat PhD conference. The last one was in April 2020. The QMat Cafe, which I'm sure that Manuel and Denis will talk about this in the last presentation. And also a summer school. It's a joint school with the KIT in Karlsruhe. Okay, next slide, please. Now for the PhD students, okay, a slide where you see the different duties for a QMat PhD student. First, you have a task of mentoring the students, okay, the master, for instance. You have to, you can help to organize special events, for instance, the QMat PhD conference, or the lab open days, and so on. You can contribute to the training of, by setting up the practicals, for instance, in experimental platforms. You can participate to the QMat outreach, to the industry, to write the newsletter, and so on. And of course, the last duty somehow is to be a QMat ambassador by bringing, for instance, goodies when you go to a conference or when you travel somewhere. Okay. Now, the very important aspect of the QMat is this international dimension. We are very proud to belong to this European campus, this UCOR European campus, and as you might know, it's we are in this. It's localized in the Upper Rhine region, and it includes Karlsruhe, the KIT, the Karlsruhe Institute of Technology. It includes the Freiburg University, the Basel University, and the Strasbourg University. And in this area, in this perimeter, you have a lot of science, a lot of researchers, and in particular in the domain of quantum science. And this is also an important network coming from its European program, which is focalized or focused on the quantum science technologies, and including a lot of members of this UCOR. And from this program, we got 10 PhD students, which are now a member of QMat, and one of them is present in the room, and we are very proud of this. Okay, and of course, sorry, we have also partners all around the world. Not so far from Strasbourg, we have Heidelberg University, we have the University of Hamburg, and we have the CERN, ENS of Lyon, École Normale Supérieure of Lyon. We have the University of Sherbrooke in Canada, and Macquarie in Australia, and other institutions. Okay, it means that we can use this network to think about going there and have a research project with some people there and so on. Okay, next slide. Now the last facet of this fantastic world of QMat is this industrial facet with industry partners. You have a list here. I will not go into the details, but you can also be part of how to say, try to find the internship in the industry by making links with some of them and try to establish a research program. Next. This is very important. Bernard already told you. Just it's enough just to copy paste this. Huh? You just take copy and paste and you put in at the end of your paper. Yeah, please. Now just few practical information, and I will stop there. Yes, next. About what you have to do now is to send an email directly to this address. Okay. Giving a picture, giving 3 lines of description of yourself, or what you are doing, and so on. For grantees, please send your personal banking information, because it's very important to get money, of course. And the next is to, I will talk this about this in the next slide, is to find a mentor. Okay. After you have to go to attend the big meetings, it's very important, and of course you go to the classes. Okay, mentoring program, and this is important, very important. We are insisting on that. Is that it's a personal coach for free. Huh? It means that you have to use it intensively as much as possible. It is a physical person, of course, a professional in physics or in chemistry, and with him or with her, you can identify your skill, your interest, and so on. You can define your professional project. It's very important to have in mind that you are now for 5 years, normally, and you are building your own professional project, okay? Using all the tools that QMat provides, okay? You can, and so on, okay? I don't go into the details, you can read by yourself. But very important to find this, to use this opportunity to have someone who is able to help you. Can help you to find research for your project and to find internships, short stays in foreign labs, for instance, industry, and for organizing a symposia of QMat lectures and so on. Okay, it means that you have to use this opportunity, please. Now, all master and PhD students are concerned by this by finding a mentor. Okay, you have to first advise to talk to first with your teachers. Okay, and ask him or her if she or he is accepting to be your mentor. If you want, there is a list of mentors of the cohort of 2019 on the QMat website. You can use it. Otherwise, you can, by yourself, you can find a researcher or a teacher in Strasbourg or also outside Strasbourg. But if it is the case, please, you have to be linked with the coordinators in order to be to have the approval of the coordinators. Please communicate the name of your mentor as soon as possible. There is a deadline here to Arena. Please, next. Okay, the next slide is about the courses. You have more courses to follow. So it's also an important aspect. In M1, you have two extra courses that you have to choose among a list of optional courses. Please choose the ones which are oriented to QMat theory. It means that you are free to choose, but please keep in mind that it must be in the QMat theory. If you choose, for instance, theology, that will be maybe a problem. Okay. The contact at the contact for the M1 student is Karine Boucher. I'm sure that you know already. You have the coordinates of this lady here. And for the M2 students, you have one extra course to choose. Okay, the same spirit, QMat spirit. And in addition to that, you have 2 extra months for your internship. It means that the regular internship at M1, M2 is 4 months. For a QMat M2 students, you have 6 months of internship. Okay? And the contact for the M2 students is weekly. Okay, thank you. Yes? No. It will be at the end of the 4 months, like the other students. But in addition, we ask you to complement your manuscript. No. Now the deep, more interesting.
I'm Denis Jankovic, so I'm just talk about the unit, investigators work. So it's as Mr. Hervieux said, it's a group of all the QMat students, and it's the main driving force of the QMat community actually. Okay, so as I said before, the YIG is the students of QMat, and that's the main information you need to remember is that the YIG and QMat are the same thing. The YIG are the students, but they're driving the actions of QMat. So you can go forward, and that's it. But more seriously, all the missions of the QMat community on the YIG community is to promote QMat, to promote quantum science and the multidisciplinary in Strasbourg, by creating conferences, events, symposia, summer schools, and other things. And to help, the YIG is the main, say, organizing organization to help students to do that. So through the gig, they can do basically all of the projects that they have in mind with relation to science and quantum technology, etc. It's the link so between the students and the QMat coordination board. If you have something to do as part of QMat, you go through the gig and it goes to the QMat coordination board at one point. And it also allows for enhanced networking because, well, if we all are part of the gig, we all can communicate with each other. For example, if we have we need help or something, we can ask other people from the gig community, maybe that have experience with that, or maybe that know some people that are interested in helping or anything. And to do this, we have the gig sessions, the gig meetings. So we try to organize it every 1 or 2 months. We try to organize it every 2 months approximately, so we can keep up to date with everything that's done. You also have the mailing list. So when you send an email to this, to this mail address, we send it basically to all of students at the same time. So I hope you won't abuse of it, so that people won't consider it as a spam email. But at the same time, I hope you will all check regularly the email you receive from this mailing list, because they can always do something that might interest you, either an event or maybe something that's being organized by the QMat students, and so you can be a part of that. We also have the newsletter. So, as Mr. Hervieux said before too, we hope that you will all give a contribution to this. For example, if you go somewhere with the help of QMat, it would be great to write a quick article about it and to say what you have done, so we can publish it in the newsletter. But also, and this is the main part, as I said, this is basically all students, so that the newsletter is organized by the students. And so if you're interested to help in organizing the whole of newsletter, you can, and you just need to write to us and to, say, I'm interested in helping with that, so how can I help? Because without your investment, well, there's nothing. Because the newsletter, there's nobody that's like only doing the newsletter and writing people email, can you send me that, can you send me that, can you send me that? If there are no students that are doing that. We also have social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, the YouTube page where we are streaming right now, this live meeting. And the same goes for this. So they're all run by students. And if some of you are interested in helping us with managing the social media accounts, just write to us. And we'll do a lot of other events. I will just show you a quick recap. So as I said, we have the social media. So we have Facebook page that's mainly run by me, a Twitter page that's mainly run by Manuel, a YouTube page that we try to run as best as we can, more or less. SILE is now leading, and the website is mainly run by Olina, I think. But the same thing goes for this. If you want to help us manage the Facebook page or the Twitter page, it's very easy. You just need to put yourself on administrator of it, so you just need to write to us, and we will figure it out. We also had the French Citizen Tournament. So we had one 2 years ago, we had one last year, and there will be one this year. Next one. So if you are interested, and if you are M1 physics students especially, well, don't hesitate to join. It's very great thing to do, and it's funded mainly by QMat. We also organized PhD meeting conferences last year, and this year it was virtual. It's also a great thing for PhD and master students alike, because PhD students can exchange between one another what they are working on, but master students can also see what PhD students are working on and how it looks like to be a PhD, and they also can ask questions about the PhD life and the PhD research to PhD QMat students. So it's a great link between the PhD and the master students, and between the PhD students one another, because there were instances of PhD students that discovered by doing this in this symposium that they are working on things that can be related, and they wouldn't have known if there wasn't this symposium. We also, as I said before, go to trips to be ambassadors of QMat. So if you see an event, well, now it's not exactly the time, but soon enough, if the situation is better, if you see an event that you might be interested in going, that's doing something on a topic you're interested in, for like quantum information or astrophysics or something very, let's say, yeah, something that interests you a lot, and you want to go there, well, even if it's, for example, in Vienna or in Budapest or in Stockholm or even in Morocco, well, if you're motivated enough and if you can show your motivation on how this can be included in your QMat curriculum, well, don't hesitate to ask the QMat Accreditation Board and order the students, because the more the better, to join you and to go somewhere together. For example, here, the Human Development Competitions in Hamburg, in Germany. Last year, there was a trip organized in Munich, in Germany too, for a quantum technology event that was obviously cancelled. And also, there was almost one for Morocco too, that was also cancelled. But so QMat can give you the money and the power to go to these kind of events and these kind of conferences through the gig, and you can also go together. And one fact, if you go to a trip, you get goodies like a bag, like a bottle, like a notepad that you can, well, you get goodies that you can show that you're part of QMat and that you are QMat ambassadors. Exactly. It's a friend. So we also part, like, even the goodies were made by the students. The youth students together decided what goodies they wanted and how they wanted, how many do they want, how many of them do they want it, etc. So any idea that can help promote QMat and quantum science and that can help you and the QMat students to progress in your curriculum of excellence, well, don't hesitate to really propose to the gig. We also organized the QMat Cafe, and it's still ongoing. So during the pandemic and during the confinement, we did it virtually on the YouTube channel, but we hope to do it soon enough in person, like this, in a conference room. Well, we invite people that are from all over the world, from the MIT, from Germany,
Zurich,
in Switzerland, ETH, etc. And PhD students, professors, researchers, all of them can give a talk about what they're doing. And you can find everything that was done until almost everything. There are some of them left on the YouTube channel. And well, don't hesitate if you see something that's interesting to go and watch it. And well, we, as everything I just said before, we also need help with that. So if you want to help organize something, or maybe if you want to learn about something, well, just come on, go in front and maybe contact someone, maybe contact the gig, and then contact someone that might be interested, that you might be interested in hearing about the research, and they can do the presentation for us. So you can participate in this conference, and you can even organize some of them. We also organized a Quiz workshop. Well, people from IBM came and explained to us how to use their quantum computing on the cloud. It was last year. And also, well, what they're doing on the quantum computing at the IBM lab. And it was great, actually, and the people from IBM are a big famous in the community that came. You don't need to be intimidated. I mean, it really gives you the power to do a lot of things. Well, the newsletter, as I said, so Sayao is leaving us, so now there's only one person that will be in charge of the newsletter, Manuel will to help too. But yeah, we really need people for the newsletter, so if you're interested to participate in helping set up the newsletter and helping gathering articles, etc., come, please come. And the next one. As I said, we did the main activity of the sending ambassadors too. So if you have conferences, etc., just feel free to share it. And the main thing about you is that it's your project, it's your ideas. Up here, I'm just giving examples of things you already done or ideas that I have like this. But you can really have your idea and come up with it and help with it and find people that can help you also with it. And that's the main point of it. So here it's just examples. And feel free to take from these examples, but if you have another project that nobody has thought of, go and talk. Yeah. So this is how to do it, basically. You expose it to the gig, you just send an email like, hi people, I had an idea about doing a symposia, or going to a symposia there. It's a very interesting subject about, high particle collisions, high energy particle collisions, etc. Are people interested in joining it? Then you need to, well, make it a bit tangible, feasible. So you look at how much it costs, how long do you need to be there, how many people will be there, how much costs the accommodation, how much costs the registration fee, the trip to there. So do you go by train, do you go by carpooling, etc. Yeah. And then after that is done, you send a request to our QMat students where you export your plan, you export how much it costs. You don't hesitate also to write to Olina here, can help you with that also, because, well, if QMat pays, because to her. And the bonus step is there with a lead session between the time where you have the idea and the event, but expose it to the lead session, and then during the lead session you can discuss with people that are interested in helping or in joining it. And well, once it's done, you go for it, and you go there, you do it, etc. So yeah, this should normally be the moment that you invite to a computer dinner, maybe, but now it's not the time. But when things are getting better, generally we love to do some dinners with the lead, where we meet each other and discuss around something to eat. We also make a big session soon enough. So we make a poll on the mailing list, so you all know about it, so you can make your well, write when you are available, etc. So we can try to gather maximum people, even though now, again, things are very different. So the point is not to gather the maximum number of people, but to gather a lot of people reasonably. But we also maybe try how to do something virtual for these two to allow the maximum number of people to gather. And yeah, we also will have polls, especially about how hard was it for you to come to Strasbourg, especially if you're international students that are still not there. So well, we'll create a suggestion box online, so you can write your feedback. How was it? How hard did you find it to come to France? How hard did you find it to find QMat, to register the QMat, and etc. All of these are interesting because it helps us to improve the experience of future students. Yeah, so as I said, we need you, and we want you to be active in the youth community. It's very important, because if you're not active, well, there is no youth community. And it would be a shame, because a lot of events, well, it was just started by one student. They said, well, this event is nice. And then said, I want to go to it. And once he said it, well, a lot more students said, okay, that's interesting, I will go to it. But if there is not this initial spark of one student that will say, this interests me, well, there will be nothing. And nobody will go there, and you will miss an opportunity to go there. And talking about going somewhere, that's the first example. Right? As I said, it can be symposia, it can be, or yeah, we also did some book purchases. So if you see that there are books that are missing, but that are very interesting for you in the studies, don't hesitate also to, well, propose the QMat community to buy a book or to buy some books that are interesting to you that they are not available or not enough available on the library. Yeah. So here are the QMat representatives, but we will probably do an election soon. If you're really motivated, you can also come and become one. So it's David Valls, that's doing his PhD here in a few things, the last year now.
I believe so.
Yeah, it's the last year of David here at the university. Here, if you want to do his PhD, just 2 followers ago. And also me. So we are both your main link between the youth community and the QMat coordination board, but we're not like the chiefs of the youth. So we're not like you do that, you do that, you do that. We're just here maybe to help organizing things, but we're not, as I said, we're not the people that are doing most of the work, the people that are doing the most of the work. Well, if there are a lot of you, the work will be dispersed, will be, how do you say? Distributed to a lot of people. So by doing a little, each one of you doing a little thing can help the lead to do a lot of things. So that's the main message. And so you can, well, there's no contact, so we give the QMat students, the QMat. And as I said, the QMat field is a mailing list. So you send an email there, all of you get the email, and so you can contact all of you. Okay, I think that's all.